I built everything with my husband. From nothing, from zero, all the way to an empire. And yet, his ex-girlfriend stood right in front of me, looked me straight in the eyes and said, "I'm going to win him back from you, step by step." I let out a cold laugh. Sorry, where were you hiding when humans evolved? But I didn't expect that in the end, the one left speechless would be me. If you found out that your husband was still secretly in love with his ex, what would you do? Forgive him? Fight back? Or quietly walk away? With whatever pride you have left? I'm Ashley, and this is what I chose. 7 days before the wedding, I stood in front of the mirror at the bridal boutique, the lights catching on the shimmering white fabric. I turned slightly, then picked up my phone and took a photo to send to Travis. Just a spontaneous moment. I wanted him to see me, to see us, before the big day. But my finger slipped and I opened Instagram. And that's when I saw it. The photo popped up. Travis's hand, the same hand I'd held hundreds of times, was tightly intertwined with his ex's. The caption had just 2 words: "Still in love." 3 minutes after she posted it, Travis had replied, "I want to keep loving you." Those words stabbed into my eyes like sharp needles, brutal and unforgiving. I stared at the screen, fingers gripping the phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. What a romantic reunion announcement. Except, of course, I was supposed to be his fiancée. The boutique clerk, a young girl with her hair tied up high, tilted her head and looked at me. "Ashley, is everything okay, honey?" Her voice was gentle, but I could hear the concern. I looked up and caught my reflection in the mirror. Pure white wedding dress, custom made in exactly the style I loved. I forced a smile, lips pressed together to hold something in. It might have been a scream, might have been tears. "Just a personal matter," I said, my voice hoarse, like my throat had forgotten how to make sound. I stepped into the hallway, heels clicking against the tile, each step counting down to an explosion. I called Travis, fingers trembling as I tapped his number. 1 ring, 2 rings, then nothing. A buzz followed. A message popped up. In a meeting. I stared at the text, feeling like someone had slapped me across the face. A meeting, right. He'd said he was on a business trip, a very important project he had to handle himself. Thinking back now, I almost wanted to laugh. It must have been important indeed, important enough for him to roll around in some luxury hotel bed with his ex. An hour later, the phone vibrated. Travis's name lit up the screen, and my stomach twisted. I picked up but said nothing, just listened. His voice came through, gentle and sweet, the same way he always spoke when calling from the office. "Ashley, what's wrong?" No worry, no suspicion, just his usual tone. From that alone, I knew. He had no idea I'd already found out about him and his ex. 7 years. Travis and I had been together for 7 years, since I was 21. Just out of college, my eyes still glowing with naive dreams. He was 3 years older, already working, had just branched out to start his own company. It was a fledgling company, lacking people, lacking experience. I walked in like an intern, clueless, easily swept away by promises. Travis painted me a future, not just a job, but a whole life. He talked about big projects, dazzling success, the days we'd stand atop New York together. And I believed him. I drank until I threw up at client parties, pulled all-nighters chasing deadlines, even turned down higher-paying offers from other companies just because I felt loyal to him. From an intern, I climbed to the position of director, step by step, through sweat and tears. Our relationship began after a night of drinking 2 years ago. A company party, dim lights, red wine swirling in glasses. I don't remember exactly what happened, just that when I woke up the next morning, Travis was lying next to me, his hair a mess, sunlight pouring through the curtain onto his face. "Ashley, I love you," he said, voice raspy, eyes glowing, like he'd just discovered the truth of the universe. I don't remember how I felt. Maybe happy, maybe overwhelmed, because I'd had feelings for him in silence for 3 years already. Falling for Travis was easy. He had the kind of face that made your heart tilt at first glance. Deep eyes, a smile that was both gentle and dangerous, like he knew every secret in the world and was ready to share them with you. We'd gone through some of the craziest days together. Sleepless nights working on projects, watching the New York sunrise from our office window, the city lights sparkling like promises. We drank with clients until we collapsed on the floor, staring at the stars, laughing so hard it felt like nothing else in the world mattered. We were underestimated, mocked, told we wouldn't make it, but Travis always made me believe we were unstoppable. One night, after drinking with clients till dawn, we passed by Times Square. He told the driver to stop, pulled me down to lie in the middle of the square, surrounded by neon lights and rushing strangers. The alcohol still lingered, his voice hoarse. "Ashley, one day I'll move our company headquarters here." I burst out laughing, my head resting on his shoulder, our breaths blending in the cold air. "Come on, you're already dreaming and you haven't even gone to sleep yet." Times Square, where land costs $3,000 per square foot, was a madman's dream. But Travis turned his head, looked at me, his eyes reflecting the whole night sky. "By the way," he said, lips curling into a smirk, "I'll buy you a big apartment here too, as a reward for always staying by my side." I looked at him, heart pounding, not because of the promise, but because of the way he said it, so sincere, like the whole world only had room for him and me. That moment, I knew. I was truly in love with him. That night we were together was also the grand opening party of the new branch. At that point, he had actually moved the company headquarters to Times Square, and he had also bought me a large apartment there. That evening, neon lights lit up the whole sky. Red wine swirled in glasses. Travis put his arm around me in front of hundreds of employees, his voice rising through the applause. "If it weren't for Ashley, there would be no company of this scale today, and I wouldn't be who I am now. Let's raise a glass to Ashley." Those words, dramatic as they were true. During the days he collapsed, when investors walked away, when banks turned him down, I was the one who stayed, made calls to raise funds, found partners, chose locations. This new branch, from the foundation to the rooftop, had my sweat in every corner. After the party, Travis was still hyped, insisting on going back to the apartment with me to plan the next 20 years of the company. We laughed, talked, and kept talking until we ended up in bed. The next morning, he was lying next to me. "Ashley, I want to be with you forever," he said, his voice hoarse, eyes shining like he had just discovered some profound truth. I hesitated, my chest tightening, not because I didn't love him, but because I was scared. Scared that this love was too big, too fast. He saw the hesitation in my eyes, held my hand, and said, "Ashley, I've liked you for a long time. No one's ever stayed with me the way you have." I smiled, let him pull me into his arms, and thought, maybe this is what real love feels like. But Travis had a past. Linda Vaughn, his college sweetheart, was the same age as me. They were together for 3 years and broke up peacefully when she moved out of New York after graduation, while Travis stayed. He had told me about her once, during a drunk night, the two of us lying across the office floor. "The money I used to start the company," he sighed, "was supposed to be for a house, then marrying Linda. If I'd married her, I'd probably be just a regular office worker now, clocking in at 9 and out at 5. There was a trace of regret in his voice, but it was honest, so I didn't think much of it. Even more than a year ago, when Linda returned to New York and quietly followed me on Instagram, I casually followed her back and never mentioned it to Travis. I thought, past love was far gone. We're adults now. Who still clings to that? Looking back, I want to slap myself. After the shock at the bridal boutique, I didn't confront Travis on the phone. I kept my voice calm, even sent him the wedding dress photo as if nothing had happened. He replied, "You look beautiful, my Ashley." I accepted the compliment, but in my head, I had already booked the earliest flight to Los Angeles, where he was supposedly in a meeting. The plane landed at sunset, crimson light flooding the sky like blood. I opened Instagram, and Linda's new post popped up. Getting ready to check in at a popular restaurant. I knew that place. When we first met, Travis had taken me there. It was a couple's restaurant. When the taxi pulled up, I spotted them instantly. Travis and Linda sitting by the window, warm light glowing over the bouquet of roses he had just given her. Linda wore a long navy blue dress. Travis also wore navy blue. Matching outfits. He used to say he hated couple outfits, said they were childish. Now I understood. It wasn't that he found it childish. I just wasn't the one he wanted to be childish with. I got out of the car and leaned against a crooked tree on the sidewalk, my legs barely holding me up. I called Travis, watching him through the window. He glanced at the phone, then rejected the call, texting. In a meeting. In that moment, my chest felt crushed. Anger, sadness, despair, all mixed together. But I wouldn't let myself fall apart. I looked up at the sky, holding back tears, letting the drifting clouds pull me back to composure. I looked down at the wedding ring Travis had given me last month, when we quietly registered our marriage. I took it off, fingers trembling, and threw it straight into the nearby trash bin, hearing the cold, dry clink of metal hitting the bottom. I snapped a photo of Travis and Linda, laughing, switching poses for photos. I sent it to him with a single line. "When you're done eating, come out and talk divorce." 3 minutes later, Travis finally looked at his phone. I saw his whole body stiffen, eyes widening, panic washing over his face as he turned to the window, and saw me standing there, under the dim streetlight. He scrambled up, nearly knocking over his wine glass. Linda tilted her head, still confused, but when she saw me, a faint smile crossed her lips. She stood up and followed Travis outside. I stood upright, leaning back against the crooked tree, my hand gripping the strap of my bag tightly. Travis walked up, his face pale, stammering. "Ashley, what are you doing here?" His voice trembled, completely stripped of the confidence of the man who once promised me the world. Linda stood behind him, arms crossed, that smirk still lingering on her lips like she was watching a play. "Are you sure you want to have this conversation in front of your ex-girlfriend Travis?" I said, my voice cold like the night wind. 7 years in the business world, sarcasm, backstabbing, betrayal. I'd seen it all, smiled through it, handled it with precision. I always thought I wasn't a bad person, both in character and upbringing. But looking at my husband now, standing there in matching outfits with his mistress, I had to clench my fists just to stop myself from screaming. Travis turned, realizing Linda was still there. "Linda, can you give us a minute?" he said quickly. But Linda didn't move, putting on an innocent face as she looked at me. "Ashley, right? Travis was just talking about you. Don't get the wrong idea. We just ran into each other here." I wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, but she casually plucked a petal from the rose bouquet Travis had given her, twirling it between her fingers like she was daring me not to notice her little mark of ownership. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and didn't reply. Saying anything to her would only make me feel like I was lowering myself. I looked straight at Travis, my voice sharp as a knife. "You have 1 minute to get that bad luck out of my sight." Linda kept going, her voice sweet but venomous. "Ashley, how could you be like this? No basic manners at all. You didn't even hear us out, and you're already jumping to conclusions." "Manners?" I let out a cold laugh, my lips curved, but my eyes dead. "You're not even on the same evolutionary branch," I said. Linda froze, her face drained of color. "If you've got free time, go lick a toilet," I added. "Stop standing here yapping." She shut up, finally turned around, heels clicking on the pavement as she disappeared into the darkness. Once she was gone, I looked at Travis and pointed at the restaurant. "Go back inside," I said calmly. "I'm hungry." I didn't want to go somewhere else. Whatever debt I had to settle with this piece of trash, I'd do it later. But my stomach, I had to take care of that myself. Over the past 7 years, for the sake of the company, I'd eaten irregularly, my stomach constantly flaring up. If I didn't eat now, it would hurt. Travis hesitated, clearly embarrassed, but I didn't give him the chance. I walked straight into the restaurant, hearing his quiet footsteps behind me. Inside, the lights were still dim and warm, the scent of wood and wine drifting through the air. The waitress, the same young girl who had just brought the rose bouquet for Travis, looked at us, eyes wide, like her face was screaming, "One man, two women?" She brought out another bouquet, setting it in front of me, part of the restaurant's policy for female guests. I took the flowers, looked at Travis, then scooped a spoonful of soup into my mouth. "This," I said, holding up the bouquet, "still needed?" Travis stayed silent, eyes downcast, hands gripping the edge of the table. After a long pause, he finally spoke. "Ashley." I cut him off immediately, voice cold. "Don't say disgusting things while I'm eating. My stomach's already wrecked thanks to your company." He shut his mouth, guilt flickering across his face. But I didn't care. That meal dragged on for 2 hours. Not because the food was good, but because my head was spinning like a top, calculating the path to divorce. I'm not stupid. Forgive him this time, and there'll be a next time. We don't have kids. Cutting ties now would be cleanest. But money was a problem. The parent company had nothing to do with me, but the branch. I was a shareholder. We registered our marriage without a prenup. Everything was tangled like a ball of yarn. While I was running divorce scenarios in my head, Travis spoke again, voice hoarse. "Ashley, I don't want a divorce." I froze, spoon hanging in the air. "Don't want a divorce?" I repeated, laughing coldly. "So what, the three of us live together?" "Wedding in 7 days, you hold my hand on the left, Linda's on the right?" I tilted my head, stared him in the eyes. "I have morals." Travis went silent, lips pressed tight like he was searching for an excuse. I didn't give him a chance. "When did you two get back together?" I asked. "Before or after we decided on the wedding?" It took a while before he finally spoke, voice small. "We didn't get back together." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because that sentence was so pathetic. "Not back together? Then what is this? Adding spice to your married life to keep things exciting." Travis flushed red, and I saw anger flash in his eyes, but he held it back, voice lowering. "Ashley, you're upset." "Let's calm down and talk in 2 days, okay?" I looked at him, then nodded. Staying calm was probably for the best. If we kept talking now, I was afraid I'd lose it, forget about the assets I rightfully deserved, and accidentally hand them over to him. On the way back to the hotel, Travis sat beside me, opening his mouth a few times to explain, but each time only a choked sound came out before he fell silent again. I looked out the window, said nothing, my hand gripping the seatbelt tightly like I was holding on to the last thread of sanity. When we got to the hotel, he tried to follow me into the room. I stopped, turned around, looked him straight in the eye. "Travis, you've known me for 7 years, right? Do you think I'd chew the same piece of gum someone else has used?" He froze, then finally snapped. "Ashley, do you have to be so harsh?" I smiled, a smile without warmth. "That's where Linda beats me, really. She doesn't even have to try. Just a sweet little wave, and you're running after her like a dog, tossing away all your pride. Me? After all these years working for the company, is there any vicious thing I haven't said?" Travis lowered his head, voice softening. "I'm sorry, Ashley." I didn't respond. I just turned and slammed the door in his face. The moment it closed, the tears I'd been holding back all evening finally came pouring out. I sank to the floor, back against the cold door, my mind replaying everything like a slow-motion film. 7 years together flashing through, each moment like a knife to the chest. When we first met, he said, "Ashley, we'll be the most perfect partners." When we got drunk, he whispered, "Ashley, you'll never need to drink with anyone else again." When we first fell in love, he promised, "Ashley, the most lasting love confession is to stay together forever." The day we registered our marriage, he smiled, "Ashley, please stay by my side for life." And now, he shattered it all, left me gasping for breath, like someone had drained every last ounce of strength from my body. While I was sobbing uncontrollably, my phone buzzed. A message from Linda Vaughn. "Travis still won't go public about us. Do you know how much I had to coax him just to get him to post that?" I read it, my stomach churned, thinking about how Travis, even after deciding to marry me, still slept with Linda. I ran to the bathroom and threw up everything in me. The stomach pain flared up, so intense I nearly collapsed. In the end, I had to be hospitalized. This whole trip to Los Angeles turned out to be self-inflicted suffering. But things got worse. In the hospital, Travis followed me around all day, probably trying to redeem himself. He had his phone on silent, but the screen kept lighting up. Definitely Linda, texting him from different numbers. Ever since I arrived in LA, he hadn't taken her calls, hadn't gone to see her. He even blocked her completely to prove his loyalty to me. But on the third day, I was hospitalized. Linda sent another message, sounding like a cornered dog. "I never planned to steal Travis from you. I just wanted to fulfill a promise to travel with him before your wedding. Why did you have to show up?" Half an hour later, another message. "If I really wanted to get back with Travis, do you think you'd still stand a chance?" And finally, "Ashley, I didn't mean to take Travis at first, but from now on, I'll let you watch how I win him back step by step." I didn't reply. I just stared at the screen, hands trembling with rage. A few minutes later, Travis's phone lit up again. He glanced down, and his face instantly went pale. He stood up abruptly, then realizing I was watching him, sat back down, stammering, "Ashley, something urgent came up. I'll be back soon, okay?" I looked at him, my voice calm but sharp. "If I say no, would you still not go?" Travis went quiet, only saying, "I'm sorry," before walking out the door anyway. The door closed behind him, and his footsteps faded away, just like all his promises dissolving into the wind. 3 days in that hospital, and I came to one clear conclusion. If someone doesn't want to stay, let them go. If you can't hold on to sand, let the wind carry it away. I checked out of the hospital as soon as I could and flew straight back to New York City. Those 3 days in the hospital gave me time to think everything through. If someone doesn't want to stay, let them go. If you can't hold sand tightly, then let the wind carry it away. I was no longer the Ashley from 7 years ago, the naive girl who believed in promises. The moment I landed in New York, Tony Vincent, partner and co-founder of the company branch, reached out to discuss business. This branch, from day one, was built on my sweat and tears. I managed everything, from fundraising and finding partners, to picking out every single tile for the office. Looking back, maybe it was because I got so caught up in building the branch and being busy that I neglected Travis, and that gave him the chance to reconnect with Linda Vaughn. But I pushed that thought aside. It didn't matter anymore. If the two of them wanted to get back together, that was proof their hearts were already with each other. Even if I chained Travis to my hip, they would have found a way. I gave Tony a faint smile and nodded as he presented the new plan. But he paused mid-sentence, frowning slightly. "You really are a workaholic," he said, half joking. "Your wedding's coming up and you're not preparing anything?" I hadn't made any official announcement about canceling the wedding, but one way or another, it was going to be canceled. I looked Tony in the eye and said calmly, "The wedding's off." He froze, head snapping up. "What?" "You and CEO Travis, after all these years, you're breaking up now?" I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. 7 years? still lost to a flick of the ex's finger. I didn't want to show too much emotion in front of Tony. After all, he was my business partner. Too much personal vulnerability would complicate things. "I'm saving you time," I said softly, but sharp. "That's good, isn't it?" Tony looked uncomfortable, mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. I knew he was bad at comforting people. In the 4 years I'd known him, his go-to line was always, "Love just slows down the money-making process." If you asked him to console a heartbroken woman, he'd probably just shrug and say, "Fall in love without using your brain? Deal with it yourself." Watching his stiff posture, I waved him off. "Don't just stand there blocking my work. If you're dying to gossip, go talk to your dad about our next project." Tony shut up, nodded, and quietly walked away. That night, I went home and had dinner with my parents in our little kitchen. The smell of my mom's cooking filled the room. Warm, comforting, but it didn't soften the tightness in my chest. I told them about the canceled wedding, my voice calm, like I was telling someone else's story. My dad exploded, rolling up his sleeves, face red with rage, yelling, "I'll fly to Los Angeles and kill that bastard!" My mom was so furious, she started crying, clutching the edge of the tablecloth. But I knew they truly loved me. They said even if canceling the wedding brought gossip, it had to be done. I nodded, feeling a small part of my heart warm up. Just a little. Travis returned to New York the next day. I laid the divorce papers directly on the table. He looked at them, face pale, but still clung to his pride. "Ashley, the wedding's in 2 days. Canceling now would be humiliating. For both families. My parents are old now. And the company, too." I cut him off, voice icy. "Travis, saving face is great, but don't use it as a stupid excuse." He froze, lips pressed tight. I continued, not giving him a chance. "Your stuff is all packed and sent to your villa. From now on, I don't want you stepping foot in this house again." Travis stayed silent, hands gripping the chair, but he didn't argue. That night, my phone buzzed. Margaret Thompson, Travis's mother, was calling. Her voice was sugary sweet, trying to coax me like I was a child needing to be pacified. When she saw I was firm, her tone flipped, sharp and cold. "Ashley, yes, this was Travis's mistake. But calling off the wedding now? You're being too stubborn." Then she went on, "Besides, what do you think you'll gain from a divorce? Everything you have, even the apartment you're in. Didn't Travis give it to you?" I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, tried to calm down. I wasn't planning to argue, but if she wanted a fight, I wouldn't hold back. "Everything I have, I built myself," I said, voice calm but cutting like a blade. "The main company became what it is because of both me and Travis. As for the branch, I practically built it alone, so don't even think about using that line to threaten me." I didn't stop there. "If you think cheating is forgivable and canceling a wedding because of cheating is stubborn, then I truly hope you get to experience betrayal someday. Just like I did," Margaret screamed, her voice cracking with fury. "I never agreed to him marrying you in the first place, and now you're pulling this stunt." I hung up and immediately blocked her number. I remembered exactly why she never liked me. I was too strong, not obedient enough. When the branch first launched, she wanted to stuff her nieces and nephews into management. Travis didn't dare say no, so he pushed me forward as the shield. I flat out refused, no sugarcoating. When we discussed marriage, she arranged a private meeting just to put me in my place, demanding I sign a prenup to protect her son's assets. I asked, "And what if I don't sign?" She tried to force me to quit my job, stay home, join family church events, as if I were some puppet she could control. I shut down her fantasy from day one. "Read more books, Margaret." She even sneered, saying women who hustle in business, drink with clients, probably end up in bed with someone, betraying her son. I scoffed. "What century do you live in?" She told Travis I cursed her. I asked him, "You really think I'd insult your mother before even marrying into your family? You think I'm brain dead?" Travis got it, and after we registered our marriage, we stayed in my apartment, not with her. Not because he stood up for me, but because he was afraid to be stuck in the middle. Or maybe he knew that even 10 Margarets couldn't handle me. I used to think I could separate from Travis peacefully, no mudslinging. But now, seeing the way he clung to avoiding the divorce, and the way she fought tooth and nail to protect him, I realized I never really knew Travis. Or more accurately, I never saw who he truly was. I only saw what I wanted to believe. The very next day after I blocked Margaret Thompson's number, my phone buzzed. Travis's name lit up on the screen, and his voice came through dripping with righteousness. Ashley, you should give up your shares in the branch. And the Times Square apartment I gave you. You should return that too. He paused, then added, like he was doing me a favor. As long as you don't go through with the divorce, and we still have the wedding as planned, we can discuss these things. I sat down, gripping the edge of the table so hard, it felt like the blood in my body had stopped flowing. I got it now. He didn't want a divorce, because it would shake the company. Because the branch, the one I built from the ground up, was his trump card. Besides the initial capital, Travis hadn't put in much. Even the plan for the second branch had been led by me. He didn't want to lose a right-hand asset like me. But those words, was he still dreaming? Or did he really think I was the same naive girl from 7 years ago? So what you're saying is, I should go cheat too, to make things even? I asked, my voice cold as ice. Travis went silent, his breath heavy on the line. After a while, he finally said, I'll cut ties with Linda. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so absurd. Cut ties? Just days ago, he left me in a hospital to go running to Linda because of her emotional breakdown. She even turned that drama into poetic captions on Instagram, flowery like a romance novel. After losing you, I will never be able to love again. Crying gets you candy, I guess. I blocked her ages ago, too afraid if I kept reading her nonsense, I'd start thinking in delusions too. The wedding, obviously, never happened. Travis told people it was postponed, but I wasn't waiting around. He refused to sign the mutual divorce papers, so I hired a lawyer and filed in court. When the lawsuit was officially submitted, that's when Travis really panicked. He came to the apartment, standing at the door, his voice trembling. Ashley, I was just confused. Linda reached out. I had a bit to drink, and then it happened. I looked at him, didn't even bother replying. Days later, he kept showing up, doing pathetic apology performances, but each time only made me more disgusted. One night, after working late, Travis came to pick me up, looking like he was trying to make amends. But the moment we stepped out of the office, I saw it. A bright red lipstick stain on his collar. Another dagger to the eyes. This is what you call cutting ties with Linda? I asked, pointing to his collar. Travis froze, hand flying to his neck, face going pale. Travis, let's end this with some dignity, I said, voice calm but sharp. Drop the act. You know exactly who I am. For the next 2 weeks, Travis went quiet, probably busy arguing with Linda, but she wouldn't leave me alone. A message came in. Ashley, why don't you just die? I smiled coldly and replied, What's wrong? Is the emotional breakdown act not working anymore? She was probably bitter that she still couldn't get Travis to divorce me. Then Linda asked to meet at the cafe under our office, said it was important. At first, I didn't want to go, but then I thought, might as well observe another specimen of the human species. So I agreed. The cafe was crowded, the scent of roasted coffee blending with soft jazz music. Linda sat there in a navy blue dress, a smug smile like she'd already won. She looked at me, her voice sweet but poisonous. Do you know what Travis said when he came to find me? Without waiting for a reply, she continued. He said not marrying me back then was the biggest regret of his life. If he could do it all over again, he'd give up all the wealth and marry me instead. I sat still, fingers tightening around my coffee cup, the heat seeping into my palm. She smiled like she was telling the greatest love story ever, but all I saw was a filthy transaction of love bought with money. I stared straight into her eyes, voice even. So, has Travis married you yet? Linda froze. I continued, if he truly loved you, why did he marry me? If you two are such soulmates, why hasn't he divorced me yet? Her triumphant smile shattered, lips quivering. I answered for her, each word a clean slice. You need his money. He likes the thrill of something old he never got to finish. Or maybe just the itch of something he still hasn't conquered. It's a cheap, dirty affair, and you dare call that love? Linda hissed, almost unhinged. Ashley, why won't you just let Travis go? I glanced sideways, my voice cold. A mistress acting righteous. I've lived this long, and it's the first time I've seen such a thing. Don't test me. You wouldn't be able to handle the price I wasn't done. I stood up, looked down at her. Right now, Travis is clinging to me. I'm not holding on to him. Got it? If you're so capable, get him to sign the divorce papers. As long as he doesn't, you're still just the mistress. Linda's face turned pale, her hands gripping the edge of the table, like she wanted to scream but couldn't find the words. I kept going, my voice light but razor sharp. Instead of crawling over here to get scolded, maybe try winning over your future mother-in-law. And if you keep harassing me, I'll file for a restraining order. I walked out of the cafe, the scent of jazz and roasted coffee still lingering in the air, but my chest felt lighter after that face-off with Linda Vaughn. Her smug smile had shattered, and I felt a flicker of satisfaction, brief but real. But the moment I stepped outside, I ran straight into Tony. He stood there, hands in his pockets, his expression unreadable, like he'd just witnessed the whole play. You really held back in there? He said, half joking. If it were me, I'd have slapped her twice to wake her up. I shot him a glare, my voice icy. I don't feel like going to jail. Causing a scene would only embarrass the company, Tony nodded, the corner of his mouth twitching. Fair point. The company's part mine too. I shouldn't egg you on. I rolled my eyes. He insisted on dragging me out for lunch, but I knew he just wanted the tea. In a small restaurant, Tony leaned back in his chair, putting on a serious face. I have a right to know what's going on. You're leading this company. If things with Travis aren't handled well, I need to know how to hedge risk, maybe pull my money early. I looked at him, didn't say anything, just raised an eyebrow. He continued, his tone softer. Remember why I invested in you in the first place? Because I knew you were the obsessive workaholic type, the kind who'd definitely make me money. My dad even warned me, don't be stupid and lose your money trusting some girl. I gave a dry laugh. It was true. Tony, the rich kid trying to make it on his own without relying on family money. To get him to invest, I had to endure 3 rounds of drinking and talk myself hoarse before he finally agreed. For over a month, I'd kept everything between me, Travis, and Linda to myself. But today, with Tony pressing so hard, I spilled it all. From discovering Travis's affair, to Linda's whole mental breakdown stunt, to Travis's lovely piece of wisdom. In this industry, plenty of men have mistresses. Marriage is just a formality. Everyone lives their own life. After hearing it all, Tony let out a bitter laugh, a flicker of disdain in his eyes. Love really does rot the brain. Travis pulled this crap. Does he even qualify as human? I shrugged. No response needed. It was clear as day. If Travis had even a shred of decency left, he'd have signed the divorce papers long ago instead of trying to blackmail me out of my assets. Tony looked at me, noticing my face tighten, and added, Don't let him fool you. Yeah, there's a lot of trash in this industry, but there are still decent men out there. I nodded without a word, sipping water, trying to mask the ache tightening in my chest. The collapse between me and Travis, even though we didn't announce the reason for canceling the wedding, still shook the company. In just over a month, 3 of the parent company's major contracts expired and couldn't be renewed. I was the one who had originally negotiated those deals. Partners were spooked by the divorce talk, worried the company was unstable, and started backing off. Business people are always calculating. So of course Travis showed up again, standing outside my office door, voice full of blame. Ashley, even if we're getting divorced, you don't have to sabotage the company. It used to be your passion too. I looked at him, stunned into laughter. Sabotage? Had he forgotten? Just over a month ago, he was the one demanding I give up everything. Why should I care about the parent company's profits? I tilted my head, looking at him like he was some strange creature. Been around dogs too long. Forgot how humans talk? Travis flushed red, but, realizing I hadn't done anything underhanded, he lowered his voice. Ashley, I'm sorry. Then came the string of apologies and sweet talk, all with one purpose: to get me to step in and salvage those contracts. I laid the divorce papers on the table, my tone calm but sharp. Sign this. Once we're divorced and you stop making me sick, maybe, just maybe, I'll consider helping. Travis stayed silent, gripping the edge of the table, eyes flickering like he was calculating something. I knew his nature, and I knew mine too. I hold grudges, and I settle them. Once we divorced, forget helping sign contracts. I'd be doing him a favor not to launch a competing company across the street. He refused to sign again, but I wasn't worried. I knew it was only a matter of time before he'd come crawling back, begging for a divorce. A month tops. Because Linda had already messaged me, still snarky as ever. Ashley, enjoy your smug little victory. I'll make sure Travis divorces you. And to be fair, her confidence wasn't baseless. She was pregnant, and she'd already won over Margaret Thompson. The moment she heard grandchild, that woman switched sides faster than a politician, thrilled like she hit the jackpot. Honestly, I should thank her. At least she finally did something useful. And just like I predicted, 2 weeks later, Travis showed up, pale and drained, sitting across from me in the apartment. Ashley, let's get divorced, he said, though still shamelessly added, I'll concede on the Times Square apartment. I won't ask for it back. He even had the nerve to pretend he was doing it for me. You want to cut ties with me, right? If you don't give up your shares, we'll still be tied together. I looked at the cold, calculating face in front of me, like we were negotiating a business deal. That moment, whatever sliver of love I had left vanished completely. Turned out, I'd never really known this man. I tilted my head, eyes narrowing. Did you get hit by a car on the way here? Travis stiffened, his tone sharp. Uh, Ashley, I replied coolly. Otherwise, why are you talking like you've lost your damn mind? I stood up, walked to the window. Outside, the lights of New York sparkled, reminding me of everything I'd built. Travis, I said, my voice calm but as cutting as a blade, since the moment I found out about your affair, have I ever leaked anything? Did I ever go public about you sleeping with Linda? Think for a second. If I really wanted to play dirty, go full scorched earth, and tell the world you cheated, got your mistress pregnant, and tried to kick your startup partner out of her own life, what would happen to those contracts I signed? Travis froze, lips pressed tight, his eyes darkening like he was cornered. I sharpened my voice. If you want a clean break, then break clean. Otherwise, I'll see you in court. I'll go to the press tomorrow. If we're going to get messy, then let's both go down together. Travis said nothing, just lowered his head, his hands tightening around the chair. He was probably stunned. I bet he didn't know I'd already found out Linda was pregnant. If it weren't for the time and hassle of lawsuits, if he hadn't dragged things out, I'd have never wanted to see him again. Divorce, it turns out, is the clearest lens to see someone's true character. After a month of back and forth, the divorce papers were finally signed. I stayed on to manage the branch, but Travis panicked, probably thinking I'd kick him out. He immediately restructured the company, stuffing it with relatives from Margaret Thompson's side, people I had blocked from entering back when the branch was first established. He even assigned them to monitor me, like I was some kind of threat. Still not satisfied, Travis offered to buy out my shares. Convenient, because I was ready to sell anyway. Partly because I didn't want anything more to do with him, but mostly because watching how he ran the company, filling it with relatives, firing top managers, I knew it would go downhill soon. If he wanted to crash it, fine. But I wasn't going down with him. I tripled the market price of my shares. Travis got totally ripped off, tried to haggle a few times, but in the end, gritted his teeth and agreed. I barely had to lift a finger, just sent Linda a little reminder. If Travis and I stay tangled in this company mess, your kid will be born illegitimate. The longer this drags on, the harder it is for Travis to walk away from me. She got the message. What you can't have always looks more desirable. Linda learned that lesson the hard way. Besides, her pregnancy was showing more and more, but Margaret Thompson forced her to quit her job and be a full-time housewife. Linda clung to that baby like a lifeline, constantly fighting with Travis. Once, they even argued right inside the parent company's office, Linda shrieking, "If you really wanted to cut Ashley off, why aren't you doing it? What, you want to pull the same stunt again? Marry me but still sneak around with her." Travis snapped back, "I married you already. Can you stop being irrational?" Linda wasn't having it. "Didn't you do the same thing to her back then?" After the fight, she got so worked up, she had complications and had to be hospitalized. In the end, for the baby's sake, Travis paid me what I asked. 3 months after the divorce, I took the money and left the company. I poured all my energy into launching my own firm. So busy, I didn't even have time to think about Travis or Linda. But exactly 3 months later, Tony Vincent sold off his shares too and pulled out. He found me and smirked. "Heard you're starting your own thing?" "Let me invest." I raised an eyebrow. "Not afraid to lose money?" Things were going great. Why pull out now? Tony smirked. "If I don't pull out now, should I wait until the company's bleeding money?" He added, voice cool. "You know why I never invest with love-struck idiots or people who stuff their company full of relatives? Because those companies always turn into family-run circus acts full of useless managers." Turns out, Travis hadn't just stuffed the company with Margaret's family to spite me. He'd also hired Linda's relatives and fired all the talented managers I had trained. What a generous guy. I had felt bad for not recruiting the old team to come with me, but now that they'd been fired, they came looking for me on their own. 2 months later, my new company opened. That night, at a high-end restaurant, golden light reflected off glasses of red wine. Old shareholders and ex-managers gathered around, laughing and chatting. Tony not only invested, but also brought along 3 wealthy single friends. He tilted his chin toward them, clinked his glass with mine, and grinned slyly. "Ashley, look, premium picks." Sweet and wild. "Don't waste your prime?" I rolled my eyes, lips twitching. "Thanks. Really thoughtful of a guy so obsessed with money to take time finding me a boyfriend." Tony winked. "What can I say? You're my money tree. Gotta protect you. Remember, when you've got cash, even first graders are boyfriend material." He patted my shoulder. "Here's to the good life ahead." I didn't know what to say, but I clinked my glass and smiled faintly. Tony was right. Ever since cutting ties with Travis and Linda, my life had gotten a whole lot brighter. 2 years later, I was walking out of a contract signing meeting in Times Square when I heard shouting. Travis and Linda, right in the middle of the street, screaming at each other. I stopped, listened, and caught on immediately. Turns out one of Linda's relatives, whom Travis had hired, embezzled a large sum of money. At first, Travis had no idea. He planned to patch the hole with profits from an upcoming project, but the project got snatched, and he couldn't cover it, so everything unraveled. Travis traced the missing funds, only to find the guy had blown it all in a casino. He pressed charges, and now Linda's uncle was in prison. Linda screamed, "Travis, do you have no heart?" Travis sneered, "You used every trick in the book to trap me and my mother into marrying you. Where was your heart then? Now you're crying that I'm cruel? Fine, let's break up. Get the hell away from me." Linda froze, face pale. But she didn't dare divorce him. Without Travis, who'd fund her lifestyle? He tried pressuring me once but couldn't do anything because there was no prenup. But with Linda, he had one. I turned to Tony. "So who stole that project? I owe them a thank you." Tony smirked. "Who else?" "You, of course." Miss Wilder signed with you last month. I blinked, then laughed. Lately, stealing Travis's contracts had become a habit. He fired the old management team, so when their contracts expired, my team scooped them up. We had so many clients now, I couldn't even keep track. Just a few months in, my company was already solid, contracts piling up, and the former management team who used to work with me were now back by my side. Life doesn't stay stuck in one still frame. It's a long series, and I've learned to follow each beat of it, not missing a single moment. 2 months later, rumors about Travis spread all over New York's business circles. His branch was accused of falsifying books and tax evasion. The IRS started investigating, and everything collapsed as fast as a building hit by a bomb. I had predicted this from the moment Travis fired all the good managers and replaced them with Margaret Thompson's and Linda Vaughn's useless relatives. He dug his own grave. I just didn't expect it to be so quick. Tony, sitting across from me in our usual cafe, laughed loudly. Good thing I pulled out early. The moment he replaced the head of finance with some niece or whatever, I smelled it coming. I took a sip of coffee, casually complimented. Yeah, you're real sharp. Tony smirked, his eyes half teasing. So are you. We didn't mention who blew the whistle, pretending it had nothing to do with us. But we both knew, in this industry, nothing's a coincidence. Travis's branch crashed like a freefall. The parent company got dragged down too, losing every major contract. Me? I scooped up a few of his old clients and made a nice pile of cash. Travis tried to save face, fired all of Margaret and Linda's relatives, even donated $1 million to children's charities to salvage his image. Useless. The company went downhill fast. I remember back when we first started the company and hit a funding crisis, Travis wanted to quit. I was the one dragging him from place to place, enduring all kinds of humiliation to beg for money. When we finally made it through, he held my hand, his voice trembling. Ashley, if I ever have just one slice of bread, I'll never let you go hungry. But once the company got big, he forgot everything. He even tried to steal what I built. Some people you can suffer through hard times with, but can't share good fortune. Travis was that kind of man. But maybe it's fair. He and Linda got to enjoy the riches together. Now they got to suffer together. Didn't Travis once tell Linda he'd give up all his money to marry her? Well, now that the company's collapsed, he's slowly making good on that promise. Gotta give him credit. Too bad Linda wasn't on board. Not even 6 months in, she wanted a divorce. She told people it was because her mother-in-law was evil, forced her to quit work and be a housewife, controlled all the finances. But everyone knew the truth. Travis's company was about to go bankrupt, and she didn't want to be stuck with the debt. While the divorce was still pending, Linda cheated on him, latching on to some rich old guy. I read the news on my phone and gave a bitter laugh. Betrayal really is a vicious cycle. Makes sense. Linda was after Travis's money from the start. Still young and pretty, she just picked a new target with deeper pockets. Can't blame her. I just hope Travis doesn't take it too hard. But 3 months later, the company officially went bankrupt. He sold the Times Square apartment, both villas, all the cars, everything, just to pay off debts. Clean slate, like when he first started. No, even worse. Now he's got an aging mother and a kid, pushing middle age. Who knows if he's got the strength to start over? I don't care. His collapse wasn't my doing. If he hadn't filled the company with incompetent family, I wouldn't have been able to drag it down, even if I tried. I once thought I'd never see Travis again. New York is huge, but life never goes how you plan. It's a river, quietly pulling you into unexpected turns, where past and present gently brush against each other like a passing breeze. That day, I went to Tony Vincent's wedding, held at a fancy hotel. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above, violins played softly, and the air smelled faintly of white roses. I wore a silk blue dress, walked through the crowd with a glass of red wine in hand. And then I saw him, Travis, standing in the corner of the lobby, wearing a black suit, but his shoulders were hunched, his face worn out, and the light in his eyes was long gone. He worked there as a low-level manager, checking guest lists, giving instructions to staff in a tired voice. He was no longer the man who once stood at the top, promising to share his last slice of bread. Travis was now just another middle-aged man, too drained to start over. I paused, watching him from afar, chandelier light catching the strands of gray in his hair. Some might feel a stab in the heart when seeing an ex, anger, regret. But me? I felt nothing. No love, no hate. He was like a stranger, a blurry face passing by on a New York street, not strong enough to stir the still waters inside me. Travis looked up and met my eyes. He hesitated, then walked over, shoes clicking softly on the marble floor. "Ashley," he said, voice raspy, like carrying a lifetime of regret. "Back then, I'm sorry." He looked at me, searching my face, like hoping to recover a piece of the past. Maybe forgiveness, maybe memory. I smiled. Not the mocking, cold smile from our battles, just a quiet one, like a breeze brushing the surface of a lake, leaving no trace. "Travis," I said, my voice low and steady. "You don't need to apologize," I continued slowly, "because those days taught me how to stand up, how to let go, and how to find myself again." Travis lowered his head, said nothing, then quietly walked away, his figure fading into the crowd. I stepped out onto the hotel balcony, New York's chill brushing through my hair, carrying the familiar scent of the city. I looked down at it. 7 years ago, I stood under these same lights, dreaming of a future with Travis. But now, I stood here no longer that naive girl who believed in promises. I am Ashley, the woman who built a company from ashes, who turned wounds into strength. If you've ever walked through betrayal, silence, or pain no one else saw, I hope you found a bit of strength in this story. Don't forget to like, to share with those who might need it, and subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this. Because sometimes, all it takes is one voice at the right time, for someone to rise again,